can change the world. One life, one heart, one soul, one mind at a time.
She's certainly the smartest person in the room. She writes, she teaches people how to write. She's about as creative as she possibly can be. And now she continues to help celebrate heroes around the world. Ann Medlock of Giraffe Heroes. Ann, I'm so glad that you're with us.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for allowing us into your house to be able to do this interview on this lovely Whidbey Island.
All right.
Giraffe Heroes itself, if you go to the website, and I encourage everyone to do that, giraffeheroes.org. No, it's just giraffe.org. What an incredible idea. How did you come up with that idea?
Oh, that's a really, really long story, but it was mainly back reaction against what I saw in the news. I just thought we're just absorbing too many toxins, and the idea that nothing can be done because it's all just so awful. You know? But every time you see a story like that, there's usually somebody involved in it who probably has an idea that could fix it or at least make it better. And I just wanted to move to that part of the stories, and to attract a sort of a lighter-hearted attention idea, using the giraffe image of stick your neck out, because everybody likes giraffes, and you sort of get their attention with a smile and then talk about a serious subject.
But you started this, though, you just didn't start this yesterday.
In the 80s.
In the 80s, and so there was bad news then, too.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Was there any one single person that immediately came to you and said, that's got to be the first giraffe?
Oh, the first story we did, and he still calls himself 001, is a guy named Gene Gittleson. And he was a Vietnam vet, a banker, doing fine, who realized that a lot of the guys from Vietnam were not doing so well. And he said, we had an agreement in Vietnam that we left nobody behind. We have to continue that. So he started the Vietnam Vets Leadership Program, and he paired successful vets with guys who were having problems. And he would team them up and get them to work together. It was just a fabulous program. Saved a lot of lives on both sides.
Let's talk a little bit about you, though. We started the show by talking about how you were a writer and you teach others how to write. What are the kinds of things that you like to write?
Oh, privately?
Yeah.
I write poetry. I also wrote a novel, but there's not quite the social value factor in that. There's the part of me that's the activist that needs to use the skill in that direction too. The thing I have that I can contribute is I can write, and I can write really fast, and I can get that website going and the cards and all the materials for schools pretty quickly.
All right, well, let's talk about the Giraffe Heroes itself. First off, you came up with the name because of people sticking their necks out. But now you're talking about it's a program that goes into schools, it's a program that goes into homes. It's a program that's online because it's the great website. How did this thing, did it grow organically? Or is this all something that came out of your mind? Or how did this grow?
It started as a media feed solely. We did actualities, interviews with giraffes. I got actors to read a script around that, and we sent it on discs to radio stations, to play in public service time. Then we started just sending them scripts for the on-air talent to read, and it just kept mutating. Like with every new technology I could bring in, I'd just keep changing it. So now it's almost all online. Almost everything is available on the website or on our Facebook page or in our emails to our constituents. No more paper.
No more paper, okay. So one of the other things that I did read is that it's not just talent and it's not just looks. It's got to be something else that makes you a giraffe hero. So what is it that makes you a giraffe hero?
A concern for the common good and taking a risk, going past all kinds of obstacles to do something that benefits the common good. So there has to be a risk. Quite often there'll be a lovely story about somebody doing something really nice, but if there's no risk involved, I can't get it through our jury, because they really are looking for risk.
Okay, you're just begging me to ask a question then. A jury? How does that happen? So I guess somebody's got to decide if this person's a giraffe hero and this person is not. So how does it come about?
We have called for volunteers over the years. There have been different formations of juries. Right now it's our board of directors, because they said, we want that job. You know, they really enjoy it. And it is really heartening when you get all of this material together about somebody doing absolutely amazing work. It's really fun to be on the jury.
Okay, everybody out there who's watching, they want to know, okay, so what do they win? What do they get out of this?
Nothing.
Nothing?
We don't have anything.
So, but what they do get, though, is the recognition through Giraffe Heroes, and that they get, and more and more people actually do get to find out that, yeah, there are people who are doing great things.
All we do is tell their story. You know, I do send a packet. You get a very nice certificate suitable for framing that says you're a giraffe, and a lapel pin, but there's no check involved, which I think is an advantage in a way, because if I had a budget of X number of dollars to award to giraffes, I'd have to limit who the giraffes are and who is named a giraffe, and I don't like that. If you are a giraffe, you should be able to be commended as a giraffe. I shouldn't have to have a budget to do that.
So the award is international in nature.
Yeah.
You have people coming from around the world to you.
Mm-hmm.
How do they find out about you?
Online, mostly. They find the website, somebody forwards an email to them, and they say, I know somebody, and we get a story back. Mm-hmm.
It would be unfair of me to ask you your favorite giraffe hero.
Yeah, you can't do that.
But I will ask you for some of your favorites. How about that? What are some of the ones that stick out? When somebody, if somebody were to call you up and meet you for the first time, they'd say, Ann, tell us some of the ones that brings the most memory out.
Well, you know, I think everybody adores the story of Azim Kamisa and Ples Felix. Did you ever read that one online?
You know, I probably did.
They're in the deck.
They're in the deck. By the way, and I just wanted to show everybody, there is a deck of cards, and this is a growing deck of cards, that has heroes on the back. Now, and we're actually going to show some of these, but I wanted to ask you about this before we get into Azim. What is this from?
We have a giraffe toolkit that you can work with kids after school with materials to train them in seeing the world through giraffe eyes, and that's part of the kit.
Oh, okay. What are some of the other things that go in the kit?
Oh, buttons, stickers, a big manual on how to work with the kids.
Well, if you were a teacher or a parent and you had this kit in front of you, what would your students learn?
What teachers tell me is that the kids start looking at each other and the world quite differently than they do before doing giraffe. One fabulous teacher in Seattle who said she had 17 languages in her class, and most of the kids were homeless. And she said they would come in every year just caroming off the walls. I mean, just totally disassociated. And the first thing she would do with them every year was work them through the Giraffe Project system. And she said they would turn into a community of kids who cared about each other, who understood each other, and worked together, which is fabulous.
Yeah, it sure is. So, but again, the question is just begging, what is the Giraffe Heroes system? I mean, how much do I get to work with the kids through it?
Yeah, we have a three-stepper. It's hear the story, tell the story, be the story. So the system tells the kids stories like are in the cards. You know, these are these lives. Look how these people live their lives. Who in your life, in your family, or in your studies do you see who does that? Find the story, bring it back, tell the rest of us that story. Now that you see how these people live their lives, they see something they care about, they do something to work on it. What do you care about? What do you want to work on? And they're just off. They create a service project of their own out of watching what these giraffes have done.
So they can get it online, and these aren't necessarily people that a lot of others have heard of. You won't necessarily hear about them in the news.
Most of them are people no one knows about, yeah.
All right. Let's talk about Azim.
Azim. Azim is a fellow from who grew up in East Africa, and his family left because of violence there under Idi Amin. They moved to California. His son was going through San Diego State College, and to earn money, he was delivering pizzas. He delivered one to an address that turned out to be a gang initiation. This young man had been ordered to get pizza for the gang and not pay for it. And because Azim's son wouldn't turn over the pizza, the boy killed him. The grandfather of the boy who did the killing is now teamed up with Azim. They go together into schools to talk about forgiveness. It blows the kids away because they're so used to a revenge model. Mm-hmm. They're saying, wait a minute, your kid killed his kid and you're here together? Yeah, we both lost our boys. So we both lost something, and we're here to tell you it's wrong. Revenge is wrong. You have to forgive each other. They're just a powerful, powerful team.
Wow, very, very powerful story for sure. I don't think that I could be there. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about some of your other heroes, and these are some who are very, very recent heroes, I think, from the website. Let's first talk about Isabel and Catherine Adams. Tell us about them and girl power. They are amazing.
Catherine, at 6, was the youngest person ever to get a Giraffe commendation. The two of them just read that there was a water problem in much of the world, that people couldn't get clean water. So they decided they should do something about that. They're 6 and 9 years old. Mm. They started folding origami Christmas decorations, and they took them to a coffee shop and asked to sell them there so they could raise money to build wells. They sold out so fast, and they got reordered so fast, it just took off. They have now contributed over $100,000 to digging wells in Africa and India.
A 6 and a 9-year-old?
A 6 and a 9-year-old.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I got to ask this, what do the parents think about all this? They thought, oh my gosh, we've created something here and we're not sure what to do with it.
They have extraordinary families. Almost always when you come upon kids doing like this, they've got great families, very supportive.
So at 6 and 9, this was when they started. When they get to be 12 and 15.
Oh, look out. Good Lord, we don't know what they'll do.
How does, I guess, how did they find out about you? How did they find out about Giraffe Heroes?
No, they didn't. Someone found their story from a local newspaper in Texas. They live in Texas, and sent us the story from the Texas newspaper.
So that's a lesson out there. If there is somebody who you think could be a giraffe hero, first off, go to the website, giraffe.org, and then maybe there's a giraffe hero that you know of, and so the thing to do is just to contact Anne and others right here at giraffe.org, right? Okay, let's go to someone else, and this is a little bit different. Yeah. Eric, is it Greitens?
I think it's Greitens, yes.
Okay. Former Navy SEAL.
Yeah. Admirable guy. Just, I'm from a military family, so I love these stories about these compassionate warriors. The guy came back from action and realized that a lot of his fellow vets really have service built into them. They really care about being of service. So he started a nonprofit to match them up with communities that needed volunteer action. And he's gotten hundreds of returning vets involved in public service.
Is this the kind of thing that could be a returning vet from another military service, perhaps in Vietnam or in the Middle East, do you think?
I think he's mostly doing younger vets, not the Vietnam era. So.
No, I guess what I'm saying is that could this example be one that would be followed by a vet in another country?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Is that the kind of thing then that people from other countries may learn about? They may learn about a program that someone has started somewhere, and then they say, wow, I can do that here too.
One hopes, by putting those things online, we get hits from the Philippines, the United Arab Republic, Finland, Colombia, and you just hope that they click and somebody else says, I can do that.
So there's likely to be people then from different religions. Does that ever come up? does in some of the applications to be a Giraffe Hero?
In the applications, a lot of people say that they learned compassion through their religious training, but we have always been very clear that this isn't one religion. I can't think of a religion that doesn't say compassion is a core value.
Mm-hmm. How many Giraffe Heroes have you had?
I think we're at 1,400 plus. As commendations, some of them, however, are for groups. It'll be like all the volunteer pilots of Air Lifeline, because these guys, you know, jump up at 2 in the morning and go fly somebody who to a hospital who needs care. So I don't have an exact figure, but 1,400 commendations.
Mm-hmm. Is there any, I mean, are they categorized in any way, or is there something that you're looking for to fill in a void, or does it just happen?
Just whatever turns up. And it's interesting that there's sort of trends. In the last couple of years, we're getting an awful lot of stories about trafficking. That's become a really big issue, of people being trafficked for the sex industry, and the people who are fighting that. So.
Well, that's really interesting, because in the work that we've done here on the show in the past about trafficking, it is that people who are trying to stop it can't be public.
It's scary, yeah.
How is it that in this particular instance, can you tell us a story, if you remember off the top of your head, about any of those who are Giraffe Heroes in trafficking, as to how they're trying to stop it?
Well, one of them is one of those recent ones, Nancy Rivard.
Okay, she's next on the list.
Yeah, she's a flight attendant. And she started this effort to organize people who travel a lot to deliver needed supplies to people all over the world. And she has recently moved into training flight crews to recognize trafficking when it's happening on the plane.
It happens on planes?
Well, you've got captured people being transported on airplanes, and she's training people to note what the signs are, that that's what's happening, so they can call the cops.
Yeah, what are some of the signs?
I don't know, but she does.
It's probably the kind of thing that you probably don't want to put out there.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got it. So that was Nancy Rivard. Let's also talk about Mara Lee Taylor, the experience of attending a tour of federally funded drug treatment programs and changing the life of a woman. That sounds pretty scary.
She's going into high danger prisons regularly and training other people to go in and working with people on how to turn their lives around, so when they get out, they don't become repeat offenders.
And the recidivist rate is very, very high.
Yeah.
So how did she get started doing this?
By her own experience of going in as a volunteer and just being blown away by what was happening to the people inside. They weren't getting any, we don't have any reformation going on in our system. It's just incarceration. So of course people come out not having skills, not having any change in what put them in there in the first place.
And then Mara Lee Taylor organizes people to go in and help
Trains
change
them and goes in with them, yeah.
I mean, it would seem that you would have to have something inside you that would say, you know, I want to go help these people. Does she do this online, and then and people online will come to her and say, yes, I want to help, and then they will go into whatever prison that they're close to? Is that how that works?
I bet you she talks to every single person she meets about why they should help her.
Let's go to some other heroes. And I'm not sure I'm pronouncing the name correctly. Farai Maguwu?
Maguwu, yeah.
The miners in the diamond fields of Zimbabwe.
Yeah. We've all seen that Blood Diamond story with, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio, was it? You know, and it's real. It's a real thing happening in Zimbabwe, and he has stood against it. He is talking about abuses of the miners and the extraction of the profits. You know, it keeps happening in extractive situations, that the money doesn't go to the people of that nation. It leaves, and he's standing against it.
One of the things in fighting the drug trade in the world, especially here in the United States, is trying to find out the ones who are the purchasers. Are we trying to find out the ones who are the purchasers in the diamond business?
The blood diamonds?
Yes.
There's a lot of labeling starting saying that this stone is cleared. It's not a blood diamond, so that's a good move. So people who buy stones have a chance to know, how was this mined.
What happens to the heroes after they've been named a hero? They get their award. What happens to them? How do they use this designation?
Some of them write really charming letters back, which I didn't really expect. We will get messages saying, all I got was people telling me I was crazy, or worse. And you're telling me I'm a hero? Really? Thank you. So I think it is encouraging. They're already courageous, but they can get pretty beaten down by not being recognized for what they do, and even being criticized or ostracized or fired. A lot of people get fired for doing what they do, because we honor a lot of whistleblowers.
Now, with all of the people that have received these awards, you've indicated that it's not a financial reward for them. At the same point in time, you're putting a lot of your own time and energy in this. What does Ann Medlock get out of this?
Joy.
That's pretty good, huh? You get to see the people doing fantastic things around the world all the time.
How's this for content for your work? I mean, to be constantly reading about people who are doing these extraordinary things. A lot of the journalists we've worked with have said, oh, God, you're saving my life, because I get so sick of the really horrible things I have to deal with constantly. And this is just life-saving.
Let's talk about 5th grader Kenesha Johnson. And actually, right here is her card. Let's talk about her. She stood up to school bullies, and it's not just defending Asian classmates, and it's not just in the United States, it's all over the world where bullying goes on. What did Kenesha do, and why is she a hero?
This is an African American girl in a predominantly black school in Los Angeles, where the Asian kids coming in were just treated horribly. They were foreigners and chinks and every rude name imaginable, weren't allowed in any of the games, just ostracized. And she just befriended them, stood up for them, kept telling the other kids in the class that these are good kids, stop it, let them play, let them in the games, involve them. She got in all sorts of peer pressure problems with the other kids, but she prevailed. She got those kids integrated.
Wow. Here's another one right here, and let me ask this before I get into this. Your Giraffe Heroes come from all walks of life. They may not necessarily be people who are doing like what Kenesha did, but they may be doing something different, like Phil Borges, a photographer. And here is his right here. And Phil he left a comfortable career as an orthodontist to help young people around the world see each other through photography. That's really interesting.
Isn't it? Yeah. I mean, orthodontists have a very nice life. It's very cushy.
Yeah, we get to open up people's mouths and look into it.
And make lots of money doing it.
Well, that's true. They're making it off of me with my daughter. But, well, actually, with both my daughters, they had braces. But he's decided to leave that life, though, and help people through photography.
Yeah.
And is that something that, I mean, if I were an NGO worker in the wilds of Africa, let's say, this is not what would first jump out at me, but maybe it should have.
Yeah, well, what he did was take his skill as a very good amateur photographer and train kids all over the world, take them cameras and get them to photograph the life that they were leading, put it online for other kids to see, and exchange pictures of their lives. So he was doing some very nice international peace building by having these kids photograph their lives.
If you could change anything about the Giraffe Heroes Project, what would it be?
Could I have 50,000 members? That would be good.
How does one become a member?
Oh, just, it's loose. Just hang in on our heads up emails, come to the Facebook page, come to the website. I just want more people seeing this stuff.
So the one question that a lot of people ask is that if you look 10 years down the road, and I know we talked about this ahead of time, but if you look 10 years down the road for Giraffe Heroes, what do you see?
Everything's available online, around the world. on your cell phone. All the stories are there. We get every single person we've ever commended is online with a picture and a story. All our materials for teaching are online, available to any teacher in the world in any language. Right?
In any language. With that, I'll be looking forward to coming back in 10 years and talking with you about that, that's for sure. It's been Ann Medlock of Giraffe Heroes, giraffe.org. Be sure to go to the website, and maybe, just maybe, you'll want to become part of the first 50,000 members. Take care.
Today is another page in history. Step outside and taste the morning sun. Underneath us all the world is spinning. Today another life has just begun. Open up your windows, take a look outside these walls. See life, love, and danger light among the great and small. Time flows freely as a river of souls to man. We're spanning dreams and valleys, we leave our footprints in the sand. Rainmaker believes we can change the world. One life, one heart, one soul, one mind at a time. Rainmaker believes we can change the world. Live to inspire and to be inspired. To be inspired. The generation's opportunity, a chance to make a real change. Lead us into harmony, a world the chorus will sustain. Time flows freely as a river of souls to man. We're spanning dreams and valleys, we leave our footprints in the sand. Today is another page in history. Step outside and taste the morning sun. Underneath us all our world is spinning. Today another life has just begun. Rainmaker believes we can change the world. One life, one heart, one soul, one mind at a time. Rainmaker believes we can change the world. Live to inspire and to be inspired. To be inspired. You can be, you can be, you can be spark. Change the world. You can be, you can be, you can be spark. Change the world. Rainmaker believes we can change